1899 is out on Netflix, and boy is it spooky. Let's take a deeper look into the mystery and the ending explained of 1899. I'm Joey C. Let's go! We think 1899 is quite unique, with its multiple language use, which is something we don't see much. The 8-part series is set in, you guessed it, 1899, the same year as Dark, but now we're on a migrant steamship, which is the Cerberus, going to New York with a mixed bag of humans. Although most of the characters might have trouble communicating, they do have one big thing in common. Their beautiful vision of the promised land of New York will soon turn into a nightmare. Among the travelers on the Cerberus is a character named Maura Franklin, a doctor traveling alone, who's looking for her lost brother. Maura believes he may be on a ship called the Prometheus, which has been lost for months. But things get a little wacky when they find the Prometheus floating in the ocean with no passengers, except for one. Maura and the ship captain, Ike Larson, bring the only thing on the ship back, which was a little boy, as they try and figure out what happened on the Prometheus. The other passengers on the OG ship grow increasingly impatient and upset because they want to get to New York. But the captain is determined to figure out the mystery. He makes the wild decision to turn the ship around and tow the Prometheus back to Europe, something that is not received well, as you could imagine. A group of passengers start a mutiny, which is the least of the crew's concerns. It gets much crazier. The captain and Maura start to figure out pieces to this wild puzzle. They find hatches in the floorboards of their rooms that literally lead them to other realities. And it's wild, where they can live in their memories. Sounds amazing, right? Nope, that's terrifying. As more and more is uncovered, there's only one logical explanation for any of this. They are inside a simulation. There's a mysterious passenger by the name of Daniel Solis, but Maura's memory seems to be completely wiped out because she doesn't remember him at all. And it gets crazier. That little boy on the Prometheus, that's her son, man! What the hell is going on here? We find out in the last 2 episodes that Elliot was dying, and in a desperate move to keep the boy alive, Maura and her husband Daniel created the simulation. Initially, we thought because Maura's father apparently owns the ship company, he was the creator of all this wackiness. But nope, it was Maura. Daniel, the husband, goes on to explain that Maura's brother had taken control of the simulation, and they don't have long until the loop they're in resets. This would wipe out the poor girl's memory, and come to find out, the loop has reset dozens of times and she doesn't remember any of it, and neither do the passengers of the ship, who have all been living inside the loop. We find out Maura has a key hidden somewhere that can be used to bring her back to reality, but even after she finds it, it's no use. Basically, her father, Henry, has this handheld pyramid that the key fits into. Because of this, Big Daniel decides to, you guessed it, hack the mainframe of the simulation and reprogram it. Sounds simple enough, right? When he finds Maura again in the final episode, he can help her get out of the simulation, but she is scared. And for good reason, too. She asks her man Daniel if he will be there when she wakes up, and he responds with, "I'll always be with you." Kind of a generic answer, man, but alright, we'll go with it. They use the key in the handheld pyramid thingy, and Maura wakes up on a spaceship, and it gets weirder. So the title of the show is 1899. So you think to yourself, boy, it probably takes place in 1899. Well, that's only partially true. In the simulation loop, it might be the 19th century, but when Maura gets back to reality, the year is actually 2099. Come on, man! When she wakes up, she's strapped into a wall of the spaceship with a device over her head. This is how people enter into the simulation. And she looks around and sees other people from her simulation, like the captain, all strapped in and deep inside the old simulation. Maura walks around and looks out the window, and you guessed it, they're in space. Shocker, I know. She walks over to the computer, and when it turns on, it reveals the year, the number of passengers, and the name of the spaceship, the Prometheus. She gets a message from her dear old brother, who welcomes her back to reality. The classic song Starman by the beautiful David Bowie is playing. And I gotta tell you, that is just an awesome end to an awesome series. That's where we leave Maura in 1899. And of course, there are still so many questions we have. We now know that the ship was simply part of a simulation she created, but doesn't remember. And now that she's out of it, she needs to find Daniel and Elliot again. Sadly, if Elliot is back in reality, that means he'll probably die. I guess we all will. Ladies and gentlemen and everybody else in between, what did you think of 1899? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, everybody, thanks for watching.